I'm Cookie with Wordy Nerd, and it's another March haul, because this is when I start really buying a lot of books. I'm the opposite of everyone else. I'm not a book buying ban. I want to buy, man. I'll buy as much as I can. Yep, that's where I'm at. Alright, so for this sort of second haul of March, I ended up going, well, two things. I placed an order on Amazon, and I got cress. So hopefully it is good. I have to finish Scarlet, though. I'm not enjoying that. So I think I'm going to sort of force myself through it. So that was the third in the Lunar Chronicles. So I love the first one. Not loving the second one, but I've heard redemption and good things about the third one, so I will just keep plodding forth. It is good, I guess, to have closure. So I also bought a book on juicing. I figured you guys probably aren't too interested in that, and I like to juice, so it's like 1,001 recipes for juicing and detoxifications. Yay! So I did that from Amazon, and then I went downtown to our library, and we have one of those like little shops attached to it where they sell books, but they're not really the library books, it's just what the town donates. And the town actually donates some pretty nice books, and they were having a buy one, get one sale, and I was like, what? So all of the next books that I'm showing, I only paid $4 for. And there's a pile. So I was rather pleased by that. The first one is Evening is the Whole Day. It's a novel by Preeta Samarsan. I really need to start going over this before I start. I tend to like to just jump in and start talking, which is pretty much my style. I even lecture very similar. I don't do a ton of prep, but names, I need to, start practicing them if they're tricky. This one looked interesting. It's set in Malaysia, and it's a family, and the servant girl is dismissed for unnamed crimes. So we get to find out a little bit about that and about the family. I thought that sounded interesting. This one, The Woman with the Bouquet, Eric Emanuel Schmidt. I don't remember what this one is about. I think it's a collection of stories. And sometimes I like them in what I call the non-committal time phases. So this one looked really interesting. And it's actually quite a lovely book also. It has the fake wrap, which I like that. Oh, and someone's receipt. They saved $16.39 on their groceries. People, if you donate, take your receipts out. I also got The Three Weissmans of Westport by Kathleen Shine. It looks like it's a Jane Austen-y type, like a harkening back, I forget which one. Sense and Sensibility. Oh, I need to stop, because the last couple of these have just sucked so much. But I guess I want that part of my heart to bloom again. So we will see. We will see. It got a New York Times book review, notable book of the year, so maybe it's not a travesty in happening. I couldn't finish the last one. What was that called? Where she was the author. I think I talked about that one. I just couldn't even finish it. I got like 3/4 through, and I was like, this is painful. And I read the last chapter. I was like, nope. So I read almost all of it. There was just like a snippet I just could not muddle through. This is Danielle Evans's Before You Suffocate Your Own Full Self. Love the typography. Oh, I hope you can see it. Oh. I'll just zoom it in and out. Another collection of stories, if I recall. It looks like a relatively quick read, but it looks nice. I noticed the theme. I had a lot of the short stories sort of happening. Vintage Naipaul. This one looked interesting. Yeah, he was the winner of the Nobel Prize of Literature. So again, just a collection of stories. I loved this book cover. I'll show the front and the spine and the back. I actually love it so much. I'll probably look up who even published this. Vintage Books. I want to see what else they do, because I wasn't familiar with this brand, and they will look really slick if I have a couple of them. And I mean, if the authors appeal to me. This one is, I'll call it the cheesy one that was like the wild card. Love's Reckoning. I think this is one of those Christian fictions with some romance, but they had it in I don't think I realized it was a Christian fiction book until I got it, and it might not even be. I'm not sure. I know nothing of it. They do have some quotes from Proverbs and such, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the story was interesting, and it has a little bit to do with the craftsmen of the early colonial Americas, which I found interesting. And apparently, the lead guy is trying to get his apprenticeship through metalworking, woodworking. I don't remember, and I don't think it says. It just says craftsman. So he's a apprentice essentially, and his master is, he doesn't want him to actually leave, so he tries to sell off, or what would be the word? Not seduce, because that would be weird. But to make it seem as though his daughters are, and they are actually very appealing, and hopefully that he marries him and stays, A, to be a part of the family, and B, to continue with the craftsmanship. That element of it sounded really interesting. That's by Laura France. And another semi-guilty pleasure, Girls in Pants, the third summer of the Sisterhood. I've read 1 and 2 and the last one, so I thought I should probably fill in the gaps. I quite like Anne Brashears anyway, not just for these books. So I picked it up. It was either $1 or free. And I have one more, but I forgot to bring it here. I will be right back. And I'm back! Yay! So speaking of Anne Brashears, The Last Summer of You and Me, I started it last night. I got about halfway. I'm really enjoying it. It reminds me of her Timekeeper one. What was that one called? I think I gave it to Mom. To my mom. Which was it called? I don't even know if it was, I think it was after this one. But, it's in a very similar writing style. It's a little bit different in tone than these, of course. So it would be what I call 20 and up reads. Quite entertaining. I like it. 2 girls, 2 sisters, and this is their summer home on the beach, essentially, and the neighbor boy. So it shows them when they're like 11 and 14 and now in their 20s. So sort of where life's paths are taking them, and apparently there's going to be a tragedy of some sort. I have not gotten that far, so there's no tragedy up until the halfway point. So that must be our halfway sort of weaving to the next stage of the book. I'm not sure how I feel about these yet. I had already talked about this one, Juliet Immortal. I ended up reading it one night, and they left enough of a cliffhanger that I was like, ugh, I kind of do want to know what happens. I'm going to call them 3 out of 5s. They're not the best things in fiction, but it's like, you know, an entertaining enough read that I did go ahead and buy the second one. And this is Romeo Redeemed. Thank God there were only 2. I don't think I could put up with a trilogy. So it's Juliet and Romeo, and essentially, I don't think they were vampires per se, but I think it was vampiric in nature or in style. It was more like gods, deities that were the old earth primitive gods, and it was good versus evil, and then they had, you had to pick a side. It was weird, but they sort of float. When they're not alive, they sort of float in this gray world, and they come back in and they inhabit other people's bodies, either who have just died or are going to die. So it's sort of, the soul won't know. Very weird. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right. And essentially, Romeo's on the bad side and Juliet's on the good side, the light and the dark. They're in high school, so you got all those chaoses, and they have to find true love and or help true love. And the ending of the first book sort of made you curious enough to see what's happening with the second book. And the second book, thank God, did give closure. I don't think it's going to be a trilogy or anything. So if you're just looking for a light read with a twist on a Shakespeare tale, you might want to check these out. Don't have super high expectations of them. They're very entertaining. They're not like going to be an amazing work of historical fiction or anything like that. It's going to stay in our, you know, archives forever. But it was really fun. It was entertaining. My cat likes them too. swear he's quiet all day until I turn this camera on. So anyway, I got a little bit of a combo platter between Amazon and then our local library. If you don't go to your local library, check it out because they sometimes have some really good sales. So you never know. And plus, if you don't feel like buying books, you know, their library, you can check them out. Bad joke. All right, I will see you guys next time. Bye. Knucklehead, come here.